Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I've got yet another Illustrious profile for you. This one, like the Wasp Ivy video, is going to feature some gameplay as well. So look forward to that here as I talk about Whalance, which is a very, very fun deck. This is based on the list that Dymax topped. I believe it was the last webcam tournament got top 8 with a very similar Whalance list. Well, it's similar because mine is very, very inspired from his. I did make some adjustments to it, but this deck is very, very fun. It's very, very Yu-Gi-Oh! I know I said my Rhino Sect deck was probably the most Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck, but this one might even be more Yu-Gi-Oh! Feeling than that one. So if you like the feeling of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks in other games, definitely going to want to stick around and check this one out. So let's just go ahead and get right down into it. And we are playing 3 of this deck's namesake Celestial, and that is going to be Whalance. So Whalance, for those who don't know, is a 2-spirit Celestial, 1 water and 1 frost. It's an 8/4, 8 attack, 4 defense. When this Whalance destroys an opponent's Celestial in battle, you can search that player's deck for any number of cards with the same name as that Celestial and send them to their underworld. So again, for those familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's kind of like Nobleman of Crossout. And much like Nobleman of Crossout, or at least how it was used to ruled, this card does let you look through your opponent's deck. In fact, it says on the effect, it says you can search that player's deck for any number of cards with the same name. So, the fun fact about Elestrals, and I think this is how Whalance works too, I think, is that you can fail to find in this game, which means if you do a search effect and there's no targets in deck, that doesn't mean it's an illegal play, it just means nothing happens. Meaning, Whalance is basically, when the Celestial destroys another Celestial in battle, look at your opponent's deck, which is pretty cool. Like, I don't know this for 100%, but I'm pretty sure even if you destroy the 3rd copy and the other 2 are in the graveyard, you can still search and fail to find anyway. So, but even if not, I mean, it's still very, very strong, 8/4, very, very good stat line for a 2-spirit Celestial, and again, the novelty of just being able to look at your opponent's deck is very, very fun. And it's more than just fun, it's good, that information that you get there. So, we can ascend into Whalance, but there's also a much more fun way to go into it. And it involves this card here that we play 3 of. That's going to be Morlith. Although this is a Whalance deck, it's arguably more of a Morlith-based deck. Or Snowman, as some people call it. So Morlith is a 6/4 with 2 Frost Spirits. Like all other Lith cards, this Morlith can be normal cast with 2 Frost Spirits, or for the other list, 2 of their spirits if a condition is met. For Morlith, the condition is if an opponent has fewer Celestials in their underworld than you do. When you cast this Morlith, you must send the top 5 cards from your deck to your underworld. So how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that, right? If you have more monsters in your graveyard, quote-unquote, or more Celestials in your underworld, you can normal cast this for 2, and then you mill your top 5. So, the idea here is that we want to use Morlith to ideally mill the Whalance, and then we can bring it back with our next card here that we also play 3 of, which is Rise from the Ashes. And again, to use Yu-Gi-Oh! Terms, this is straight up Monster Reborn. Rise from the Ashes is a Invoke Rune Omni, so it's 3 of any spirit. Target an Celestial in your underworld and special cast it in attack position. And yes, you can do that for a 2-spirit like the Whalance here. So that's going to be one of the main ways that you get the Whalance into play. Of course, you can Rise to bring back anything you mill with Morlith, but Whalance is definitely going to be your strongest target. We do have another way to bring stuff back, though, that we mill with Morlith. That's going to be our Frostrix. We're only playing 2 copies of this. And Frostrix is a 1 Frost Spirit Celestial that's 2 attack, 3 defense. It says you can expend 2 Frosts and discard in Frostrix in order to target and special cast a 1 Spirit Frost Celestial from your underworld. So this is basically Rise from the Ashes that costs 1 less, but you have to spend a Frost, and it has to be to bring back an exactly a 1 Spirit Frost Celestial. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the main game plan of this deck, is to mill stuff with Morlith, and then bring stuff back with Rise and Infrostrix, and ideally with the Rise we're bringing back the Whalance there. So how are we going to get Elestrals into our underworld? Because you remember that to normal cast this with 2 Frost, you have to have an opponent has to have fewer Elestrals in their underworld than you do yours, meaning we want to get Elestrals into our underworld. One of our main ways of doing that is going to be with the More Frost package. Very excited to be playing the Morfrost cards because I think they're really cool. We're not a dedicated Morfrost deck. We're only playing a little package here of 3 Morfrost Lycan form and then 2 Morfrost Indus form. So, Morfrost Lycan form, 1 Frost Spirit, 2 attack, 3 defense. You can expend a Frost and discard this Morfrost in order to search your deck for up to 2 Morfrost that are not Lycan form and add them to your hand. And then Indus form is 1 Frost Spirit, 2 attack, 1 defense. When you cast this Morfrost, you can expend a Frost in order to search your deck for up to 2 Morfrost and send them to your underworld. When this Morfrost is destroyed in battle, you can target and destroy a face-down rune. So, pretty good package here. You can discard and expend a Frost Spirit, the Lycan form, to search 2 of the Indus form. Then you can summon the Indus form and then use the effect to get the other 2 Lycan form out of your deck. And boom, that right there puts 3 Alestrals in your yard, making it very, very easy to make your Morlith live. You can even turn 1 Morlith, right? By, if you open the Lycan form and Morlith, you simply Lycan form effect to discard, add the 2 Indus forms to hand. Boom, your opponent has 0 Alestrals in the yard. You have 1, they have fewer than you. You can normally cast a Morlith and start milling on turn 1. So that ends up being pretty solid there. Yeah, love the Morfrost package. Great way of getting stuff into your yard there and also doing a little bit of deck thinning. So for some additional Frost cards here, we have 2 copies of Catarant. 1 Frost Spirit, 3 attack, 1 defense. When this Catarant receives 1 more Frost, you're going to turn 2 Frost from your Underworld to your Spirit deck. We are burning a lot of Spirits in order to be able to discard and mill stuff, right? So Catarant is very good to replenish your Spirit deck. This also combos very well with Infrostrix, right? Like if you mill a Catarant, or even if a Catarant like that you played earlier is destroyed, you can activate Infrostrix, expend 2 Frost to the Underworld, and discard this. Bring back the Catarant, enchanting it with Frost. That'll trigger the Catarant to put back the 2 Frosts you spent on the Infrostrix back into your Underworld. So a great way to add basically a free body to your board that can even threaten to further heal in certain situations if your opponent doesn't immediately out it. We're also playing 2 Narpoon. This is a water. It's not directly a Frost Spirit, but for 1 Water Spirit, it's a 4/3 that when you normally cast a Snarpoon, you can search your deck for a 1 Spirit Frost Celestial and add it to your hand. So pretty obvious why we're playing it. And then we're also on 3 copies of Cryoblast. Cryoblast is a pretty decent generic removal option. Not every deck will want to main deck it, but we're already on so much Frost that we can afford to main deck 3. You target an Celestial that is not Frost Enchanted until the end phase, give it -2 defense, and then when it has 0 defense, you can destroy it. So there are even situations where just giving a thing -2 defense will let you run over it, and it's not horrible in that spot either. So, like I said, just a few more Frost cards kind of help us out there. The rest of the deck is going to be a lot of staples. We got 3 Astravet. It's an Alestrals deck, so we're playing 3 Astravet. 2 Eddy. We're already playing Water, so Eddy is a great tempo tool. It's also not combo reliant like a lot of the stuff in our deck can be, so it's just an independently good card. 2 Tsunami. We're already playing the Water, and it's a good card. Might as well play it. Pretty much staple. Earthquake. It's a staple. Removal. And then 3 Ambro. It's an Alestrals deck. 3 Gorgon's Gaze. It's an Alestrals deck. 3 Poison Tipped Arrow. It's an Alestrals deck. So there are these staples that round out the list there. All right, let me take a look at the Spirit deck here. Oh, here it is. So for Spirits, we are on, let's start with the Frost. We're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Frosts, which might not seem like a lot because it seems like we're a very Frost-focused deck, but we have the Catarants to help us recycle Frost, and we'll be able to see the Catarant a lot between not only searching it off of Narpoon, but then milling it and then bringing it back within Frostrix. You'll on average see Catarant during your game, so that'll help you get some Frost back. And I mean, really, you don't end up needing that much Frost. You can often spend a lot of other kinds of spirits for like the Rise, for example. The Whalance only takes 1. It takes Water as well. The Morlith takes 2. Discarding a Frostrix takes 2, and discarding a Lycan takes 1. That's where you're going to be spending most of your Frost, but otherwise it's pretty manageable, so you really only need the 10 Frost Spirits here. And then, let's see, we have 5 Water. It's a good amount for the number of cards that we're playing, which I think is 6. Well, it's 6 1-cost water cards plus the Whalances, so... And then 3 Zaptors for our bunnies, and 2 Tyrantlus for our Earthquake. If you wanted to clean the Spirit deck up a little bit, like let's say you were in a spot where you did want to play more Frost, right? Then I think the best way to do that would be to take one of the Zaptors out, because we're only playing the Astrabbits. A lot of the time, if you're playing, like... I'm trying to think of a good example. Okay, not that I would recommend this for a lot of decks, but let's say you're just randomly splashing 3 Cryoblasts in a deck and you're not playing any more Frost, right? I don't think you need 3 Frost in that situation for your 3 Cryoblasts. Generally, for 3 copies of a card that you're only playing one of that Spirit type, you only need 2. So for 2 Astrabbit, you only need 2 Zaptor, but playing the 3rd is good because re-enchanting Astrabbit happens, like, not all the time, but a decent amount of the time. So if you really, really want to play an 11th Frost, you could take out the Zaptor and put in the Frost, but I like the 3rd Zaptor more. You could also, if you wanted to, drop Earthquake for resting on your laurels instead, which is generic, and then you would have these spots freed up. But I don't really like resting in this deck because we are trying to have, ideally, you know, these 2 Spirit Alestrals in play a lot of the time, and it can be harder for the resting to be live in that kind of a situation. So, all right, there is the list there. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of this here gameplay. Okay, so we are once again playing against Sally's Chronodile deck, and I'm going to start right off here with the Morphrost Lichen form right out the gate. These games are kind of long, so I think I might actually only show one of them in the interest of not having like a almost hour-long video here. So, only adding one Indus form. You might be able to guess that means I did open up the other Indus form, but we did also open the Morlith here, so this is going to be a turn 1 Morlith for us, which is going to be very, very nice. Alright, so we're milling our 5. We hit Gorgon's Gaze, Cryoblast, Rise from the Ashes, Whalance, and another Morlith. So, don't like hitting those Omni runes, but we did mill the Whalance, and that is what we want to do to hopefully revive it later in the game. So, no back rows. This deck is pretty light on back rows compared to a lot of other ones, so nothing to set here. I'm just going to pass it back over to her. You're going to see me checking my graveyard a lot. You have to do that a lot for this deck, so... yeah, like I said, Sally on her Chronodile list. We saw that in the Wasp IV games as well. I really like Sally's Chronodile list. I want to rebuild Chronodile at some point myself. Chronodile was my first deck, like a lot of players, because of the starter deck. So Sally's got an Eddy, which normally by itself wouldn't mean a lot, but she's also got that Atlantis, which is going to boost the Eddy to 5 attack, which just lets it run over the 4 defense Morlith here, sending it to the yard. So... not like super duper ideal, but also not the end of the world. Morlith's main job was to mill 5 and the Whalance among them, and it already did that. So I'm going to throw down my own Eddy here, our little Eddy versus Eddy violence. I'm going to try to use my Eddy to put hers into defense mode, but she's got the Gorgon's Gaze, meaning that my Eddy is not going to be able to do so. So not ideal, but going to have to be good here. I'm going to end up using the Cryoblast against the Eddy. Throwing out the Frost there. I also need to hold my cards in hand tighter to the screen. Definitely noticed that after these games. So, here I mistakenly attacked with my Eddy, causing her to send a Water Spirit to the yard, and then passed over to her. But I think I realized pretty soon into her turn... Yeah, I think I'm pointing it out right here that my Eddy was Gorgon's Gaze. I was like, oops, sorry, I forgot. You can put your Water Spirit back. And Sally was like, oh yeah, I forgot too. But we're all good. The game state has been repaired. So, all right. Looks like Sally's going for another Eddy here. This Edward on Edward violence. I do decide to PTA her Eddy here. This won't stop my Eddy from dying because... it won't negate her Eddy, and her Eddy is still stronger even with the -2 attack buff, because Eddy only has 1 defense. Well, I guess 2 here, but because of the Atlantis. But anyway, yeah, that Eddy still has 3 attack. I'm going to pay out the PTA to get rid of it, and draw for a turn here. Alright, so checking my yard, because I think I saw it. I believe I drew Infrostrix here. I was looking to see if I had a Catarant in here, but I don't. I decided not to Infrostrix for... the Morphrost Lichen. I don't really think that's worth it. Summoning the Indus here. I did forget to use the Indus effect to mill 2 more Lycans, by the way. I think I remembered it on Sally's next turn, so it was pretty quick. But yeah, absolutely want to mill those here because we don't want to top deck them. It's a very, very bad top deck, and I am very much looking for exactly Rise from the Abyss. So any amount of deck thinning is definitely going to be very, very helpful in a spot like this. So Sally looking through her hand, pulling out the Spirit deck. This looks like, yep, a defense mode Astrabbit. She's going to use that to look at the top 3. Yeah, the Morphrost Indus form is a pretty solid card overall. I really like the ability to threaten back row with it. Because, of course, if it gets destroyed by battle, you can target and destroy a face-down rune. So there is plenty of nice counterplay with that. She's going to end up using a Nog here. Paying a water and a solar to draw 2 cards. Which is all good by me. Don't have any back row, and I don't think there's any back row. Well, there's Poison Nectar, but who plays Poison Nectar? I don't even play that in Wasp Ivy. Alright, so drawing for a turn. Alright, once again checking our yard, but still only have the Lycan form as a Infrostrix target here. Really, really want to find that Rise from the Ashes start, you know, battling with Whalance here. That would obviously be just the best top deck here. So we're going to throw out the Catarant that we ripped off the top, throwing a Frost Spirit under it. That'll let us use the Catarant effect in order to put back 2 Frost from our Underworld. Just keeping that Frost up, keeping our Spirit deck high. And yeah, that bunny's got a big butt. 5 defense means I can't run over with Catarant or Indus form. Even if I combined their attack points, that would still not be enough to run over it here. So I'm just going to have to end up passing. Still want to summon the Catarant in attack mode, though, because it's only got 1 defense. Same with the Indus form, so might as well. Sally's going to set another card. Alright, she's going for a Spirit here. I think she's asking how much defense Catarant has right now. Alright, she's got another Thunder, and it's going to be another Astrabbit. Oh yeah, because I remember, she was debating if she wanted to re-enchant her current Astrabbit or play a new one. And she ended up playing a new one here, which I think is a good call. Grabbing another card off the top of her deck. And then I think she's going to use that card right away. I'm pretty sure it's a Nog. It is in fact a Nog, yep. So she's going to draw 2 more here from this Nectar of the Gods. Alright, and she's going to throw down another face down before passing over to us. We're going to draw for turn here. And we do find our own bunny, which is pretty promising. Getting to look at the top 3. Thankfully, we haven't been punished for forgetting about the Indus form on summon effect, so really looking for that Rise from the Abyss. I don't think Lycan form was among those 3 cards either, so gonna take one of those, shuffle up, and then again, I mean, there's not really much we can do in the face of these Astrabbits, right? The bunny butt of 5 is just too big for us to battle through. So I'm just going to have to set one and then pass back over to Sally. Yeah, that Astrabbit, you know, this is kind of the unfortunate part of this deck too. And I gotta be honest, I don't know how much of this particular build I'm going to play moving forward. Just because I find that, I guess in the testing I've done, I should probably do more testing, but in the testing I've done, I find myself in this kind of a situation a lot, where you just have, like, Catarant and Indus form, right? And then you're just kind of, like, not doing much. Alright, so she's going to Tsunami, which looks a little weird to do during the you know, main phase when I'm not battling here, but it's actually to be able to cast a Coastalith. Coastalith coming down here with the Atlantis up makes it a 4/10 that's able to special cast a 1 Water Spirit card from her hand. But I'm going to go ahead and Gorgon's Gaze that to stop the effect, as well as the attack here for this turn anyway. So, yeah, that 4/10 Coastalith, the 4 attack is quite scary. So she's turning her bunnies to attack mode. Because, again, the Catarant and the Indus form both have 1 defense. So she's going to battle 1 bunny over the Catarant. And then go another bunny over the Indus. Right? I think she's actually debating if she wants to or not. because I do get to use the Indus Form effect here. I think I targeted the one closest to her spirit deck, if I recall correctly. Let's see what ends up happening here. Or was it the one under Coastal? That might have been the one under Coastal, because I think she's debating if she wants to chain it here or not. Maybe. No, it was a PTA. Okay. So yeah, that's the one I targeted there. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the nice thing about Indus Form, you know. With the Morphrost package in general, not only does the Lycan Form deck thin, but then the Indus Form blows up back row. You can also get Terraform as well if you wanted to. Or you could play that, rather. So I'm going to cast my Indus Form here, and here I do remember to use the effect. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I am going to use the effect. She was just debating if she wanted to let it resolve or not, so. Alright, there's Lycan Form and Lycan Form. Like I said, I should have done that in the first place, but thankfully I didn't top deck either of them, and I don't think I even saw one of them off the Astrabbit, so did not actually end up getting punished for it, but very easily could have here. Alright, so here, I think I'm going to end up using the Amphostrix here, right? Yeah, I'm checking my spirit deck, and I think I do have enough frost to do this. Maybe? No, I think I actually only have 2 frosts left. I think I caught a glimpse of that when I was looking at the spirit deck earlier, so. Yeah, here I'm threatening to crash into one of the bunnies with the Indus Form, I believe, and also blow up one of the back rows. And she's asking how many spirits I have left. I think that was 7 or 8. Went by a little quickly there, didn't count. And 2 cards in hand. Alright, she's debating, I think, if she wants to respond here. And actually does end up using the Gorgon's Gaze to stop my Indus Form's attack. So, protecting the bunny as well as the back row. I think she was more trying to protect the other back row. And that might have been what she was debating on, is if she wanted to try to win the 50-50 of me crashing and picking the right one, or just use the Gorgon's Gaze, so. Yeah, still not much I can do in this board state, though. A little bit of a jump there, as there was some debating on what play to make. She's going to end up playing the Eddy here, turning my Astrabbit into attack mode. And using a Thunder to play Amber. I think she only has 1 Spirit left in her deck, which is kind of wild. Wild if true, but. Alright, putting back the Waters here. Yeah, she only has the 1 Spirit left, so. It's kind of funny. You know, even though I am not in a favorable board state, like, you know, she was pretty low. That can happen sometimes in games of Elestrals, where, like, you're far behind, but your opponent is low enough on spirits that you can, like, run over one of their weaker dudes and, like, sneak in a win. Alright, so she's going to battle over the Indus Form, and I'll end up destroying the back row, which is Tsunami. So I guess she was more concerned about keeping the rabbit in play, which does make sense. So I imagine it's going to be Coastalith over Astrabbit here. Keep in mind that Atlantis is in place. The Coastalith is a 4/10. And then hitting with the 2 bunnies here. And I'm going to end up losing an Earth and a Water over that. So drawing for turn. Peeling the Amber off the top. That was a very, very good top deck. So here we're going to spend a Fleur Mine to, I think, just get back 3 Fleur Mines, or at least 2. Yep, 2. And I think I'll take another look at my hand and decide to just get back another Fleur Mine here. Yep, there it is. So 3 more Frosts. You saw me spin the Earth. I'm definitely giving up on Earthquake at this point. So here I'm going to Narpoon, putting the water under it. And if I didn't already have Amphostrix, I would just grab that. But because I have Amphostrix, I'm just going to grab a Catarite here to try to heal some more on a follow-up turn. As I have been for this entire game, I'm really just waiting for that rise here. Although I'm starting to get to a point in the game where I'm too low on spirits to be able to rise and then still Whalance. That is a 5-spirit play, which is one of the drawbacks to this deck. So here I'm going to end up using the Infrostrix to get back my Catarant. And then enchanting the Catarant with a Frost. And I mentioned this earlier in the profile portion, but that'll also put back the 2 Frost that you spend on the Infrostrix. So, alright, here we get to battle over both of the Astrapas, which is pretty nice. Gonna clean up the board state a little bit, but unfortunately, that Coastalith is still a 4/10, and the Eddy is a 5/2, meaning her board can just run over mine here. I do have that Catarant in hand I added off of Narpoon, but that is going to be my only card in hand. I've just been too far down on advantage this entire game, which is a bit unfortunate. Alright, she's only got 4 spirits left. It's like, it's so close at this point. You know, I can practically taste it. So I'm at 5 spirits left, and she's got the 4. So I'm gonna lose a spirit from battle here. But at this point, it's like Rise from the Ashes. It wouldn't be enough here, because I wouldn't have enough spirits to rise and then still Whalance. That's the thing, like, Whalance would have been so good at almost any point here too, but nah, Sally's got the Chronodile coming down here, ascending over the Coastalith into the Chronodile. There's only 5 enchanting spirits on the field, so it is targetable, but that isn't going to really matter in this game state. Chronodile is also a 10-16 right now because of the Atlantis. That's scary. Excuse me. Here's the Ambro. Looks like she's going to put back Thunder, Solar, and Water. One of each. Ooh, excuse me, I got the hiccups here. Alright, moving to battle. She's swinging over my stuff. I'm going to give up... Oh, God, yep, definitely have the hiccups here. Let's see. I think ultimately I'm going to end up giving up... Yeah, 2 Floor Mine. And then drawing for a turn. Get an Eddy, and... Yeah, I think even if I Catarant... Well, I am going to Catarant here, looks like. Put back 2 of these Frost. Passing over to Sally. Got 4 left. But... I think she's going to end up ending the game here. I mean, really, any Celestial would do it. Well, so much as it has more than 1 attack. Oh, or no, she just enchants a Chronodile, pop, and then swing for 4. So that's going to end up doing it. So, alright, that'll do it for this game. Thanks for watching. As always, super appreciate it. That's going to do it for now. This is Xlex signing out. Hoping you have a fan and non-hiccupy day. Fantastic and non-hiccupy day. Good lord.